Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, 421 Fishing with Craig Smith. Again, I told y'all earlier with my flipping and pitching video that I was going to do another one, and I was going to do it on drop shotting. Now this is a craze everybody knows about. It started out west in California, and it has took off, man, here in the last few years. It's huge everywhere now, and to me it is one of the most versatile rigs that you can use in bass fishing. You can do anything with it. You can flip the cover, you can flip the docks with it, you can fish it deep off points, you can drop it beside the boat if you've got a good fish finder and literally watch the fish hit your drop shot, or you can cast it out on points. There's just so many things you can do with a drop shot. There's so many ways you can fish it. You know, you can use anything from wacky rigs to just standard finesse worms, U-tail worms, flukes. It doesn't end, man. My setup, especially when I'm kayak fishing, if I'm on a boat, I like to use a 7.2, 7.3 medium action spinning rod if I'm on a boat. In a kayak, I tend to, because you know, I don't like having a long rod in a kayak. You know, I want something a little shorter, but you still want something at least 7 foot drop shotting. I wouldn't go anything shorter than 7 foot drop shotting. This is my drop shot combo that I use. I got a fluke on there right now, but this is the rod that I use kayak fishing for my drop shot. It's just a simple Berkley cherry wood rod, 7 foot medium action with a Quantum Vibe spinning reel on it. And you heard my last video, I run braid. The only difference is on my spinning reels I run 15-pound braid, sometimes 20. And this is where I'll put on that fluorocarbon leader. I'll run about maybe 18 to 24 inches of a 8-pound fluorocarbon leader at the end of my braid with a uni knot. But the biggest problem that I think everyone has with drop shots is people tend to fish them where you got sand bottom or you've got rock. A lot of people don't fish them when there's thick grass and vegetation on the bottom because that weight on that drop shot will pick up a lot of gunk, and it'll just feel like mush. It'll add weight to your line and your bait at the when it's sitting on bottom. So I've got a neat little hack for y'all to try, and it's a lot simpler to me than you would think. It's just a little thing you can piece together, and it actually makes your drop shot weedless. I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. Next time you're out drop shotting, if you're in some grass, try this. I promise you. Of course, I don't have this tied onto a rod, but I just wanted to simply show you. I've just got some spare 8-pound test here, fluorocarbon, and then there's my hook. Of course, you know, with a drop shot, you want it in the middle like that. Of course, I've already got it tied. Most of you already know after you've got your knot tied, you take that line and you run it back through the eye hole in the front of the hook. And you do that so your hook, you guys can see, sorry my shirt's dark, your hook will stand up. You don't want it to lay down, you want it to stand up like that. You want it to stand up like that in the water, so that bait's sitting like that. You want it to stand. So what I do, of course this part's going to be tied to my braid leader, and you'll take the bottom of this, and instead of using a drop shot weight, it's going to be funny, y'all. I promise, it's going to sound weird. You're probably going to think I'm crazy, but I promise you, just give it a shot, because it works. I just did this just because one day on accident, fishing a drop shot, real grassy. I caught a couple fish, but it just added so much weight to that rig because of all the muck on bottom, and I kept picking it up, pulling it up. So I said, what can I do? And I said, I'm gonna just do something crazy. glass bead. Take that glass bead at the bottom of your drop shot where your weight would go. Take that glass bead, pull it up, take a bullet weight. This is all going to depend on how deep of water you're fishing, how fast the water's moving, how hard the wind's blowing. But just for example, there's a 1/4 ounce bullet weight. String that bullet weight up, pull it up behind that bead, and then right behind that bullet weight, just a simple barrel swivel. Just a simple barrel swivel. And you'll tie that on. Going to do a simple little fisherman's knot just to give y'all an idea of what this looks like. And that's what it'll look like. There's your hook, and sitting on bottom, it'll look like that, guys. A bead, bullet weight, barrel swivel. And I'm not joking you. It works. You will still catch fish, because I did this and I caught 6 or 7 fish the rest of the day like this, just casting my drop shot out of my kayak, and I was picking up almost nothing of this gunk, and you could almost feel nothing of it. I mean, it just slips right through instead of having that big teardrop weight at the bottom of it that just for some reason just picks it up. This will not pick it up like that, guys. I promise you this works. And I'm going to just give you a few examples of some lures I like to throw on my drop shot. You can throw flukes, and Zoom makes, and so does Z-Man and a few other companies make the bait fish flukes specifically for drop shotting. But I've got a few things here that I like to use. I love using finesse worms on drop shots. They work real well. Usually with the finesse worms, I'll just rig them, you know, simply how you would normally on a drop shot, or on just Texas rig it like normal. Is how I would do a finesse worm. Just like that. That's how I'll do my finesse worm. These are green pumpkin Zoom shaky head worms. They work extremely well as well on the drop shot. And you can and with these, you know, same size of finesse worm, you can use that 2/0 VMC hook or Gamakatsu, whatever you prefer. And that shaky head is going to have a lot of action with it on that drop shot. Then you got 2 other things. You can use a stick bait, Senko, Dinger, whatever you want to call it. Those work real well. But I like those wacky rigs on my drop shots. I will use trick worms a lot on my drop shot. Trick worms work really well on the drop shot. Wacky rig them as well. They just work better wacky rigged. And they work better wacky rigged because the trick worm has so much action on its own. If you've ever seen one fall in the water column, if you got clear water, you can watch it. But you want it wacky rigged because it's so light and has so much action. It's gonna get that little flutter as it's dropping. And then when you get that line taut, like you do with a drop shot, you don't even have to fish it. Just dead stick it. The current in the water will move that wacky rig trick worm enough to elicit strikes. Sometimes you may still have to give it a little bit of a twitch, you give it a little more action. Sometimes you don't. A lot of times I don't. I will dead stick that wacky rig trick worm on a drop shot because that current's going to get that trick worm moving anyway. You can just dead stick it. Now this here is the Berkley Havoc Flat Dogs. And the reason I like the flat dogs sometimes, you can see, guys, unlike a Senko, they are actually flat on the side instead of being a complete circular cylinder like a regular stick bait or Senko. And I like the flat dogs better on a drop shot or wacky rigged because of the way they're built. Because they're not, cylindrical like a stick bait, and they're kind of stiff. The flat dogs, because they're flat on the sides, are not stiff. So they will fall like that. And every time you twitch it, a lot more erratic action than a Senko. Those were just some things I wanted to show y'all with my drop shot techniques. By no means do I claim to be a master of a drop shot, but I love throwing it, and it catches a lot of fish, and it's a big trend, man. And I suggest anybody that doesn't like it or doesn't throw it or is skeptical of it, please give it a shot. I promise you'll fall in love with it. Because you see these guys just fishing it off the side of a boat with a fish finder. You can cast it, you can flip and pitch it, and it works those ways too. And don't forget to try this. Replace that drop shot weight with a glass bead, a bullet weight, and a barrel swivel, and this will make your drop shot weedless. Promise you guys, give this one a shot. Alright, thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. Just, check out my next video. If you want to, send me some comments at the bottom of my videos, y'all, and some things y'all would like to see. Maybe some questions, and I'll give y'all some answers, man. I love doing this. I love fishing. It's a hobby, and fishing tournaments and fishing professionally is a dream of mine. So I want to give everybody any insight that I can. I continue to learn a lot all the time, and I want to be able to teach y'all as much as I possibly can. I thank y'all again. Subscribe to my page, please. Like my videos. 421 Fishing with Craig Smith. Come back next time.